Happy Soul Project started in a really, really dark and vulnerable place. It started a few weeks after my little girl was born, and we took her home from the hospital, and we weren't sure about her Down syndrome diagnosis. And we were told that it was positive, and I kind of put myself in this fog, and I kind of put myself in this bubble. And a couple weeks after she was born, I remember putting her down in her crib after rocking her to sleep. And I kind of looked up, and right above was this sign that I had made. And the sign said, "Life is more beautiful because you are here." And I remember placing her in the crib and just falling to my knees in such sadness. I mean, it was the first time I actually realized what it was to weep. My entire body, my entire being was just so sad and so shattered. And with Pip's diagnosis, there were so many levels of dealing with that grief. I mean, there was the sadness, there was the anger, there was the why me's, and there was this whole area of guilt, if you will. I replayed the pregnancy, you know, with my first son. I did everything totally by the book. I didn't eat salami, and I didn't take out the dryer lint and all that kind of stuff. But with my second child, I was a bit more lenient. So as soon as they told me that diagnosis, I immediately thought back to all the things I did when I was pregnant. And I ignorantly thought that I somehow caused Down syndrome. There's this other part of the guilt with my little girl, and you know, she was a couple days old, and she was in my arms, and she was so beautiful and looking at me, and she just so needed to be loved. And I was so sad and so scared that she could sense all these feelings of anger and guilt and sadness that I was feeling. So it was this weird time and this weird fog of emotion for me. But I remember putting her in that crib. Whoopsie. Putting her in that crib and kind of placing her down, and then just falling to my knees and just being so sad. But as I got up, I walked to the computer, and you know, in today's day and age with social media, everyone knew I was pregnant. Everyone knew I was having a baby. Everyone knew I was going into labor. I'm the mom who posted the picture. I was, you know, about to have her, and before we even knew she was diagnosed with Down syndrome, I was posting pictures of her, so everyone knew we had a baby. And then all of a sudden, I kind of just went dark, and I didn't answer messages, I didn't answer emails. My husband had to call family and had to call our friends and tell them that our little girl not only had Down syndrome, but that she had major eye and heart issues and needed surgery immediately. But in that moment, after I placed her in the crib, I went to the computer, and instead of answering all the messages and answering all the emails, I just decided that I was gonna create a blog. And I had already had a little mummy blog, and you know, my friends and my girlfriends and my aunt read this blog, so I thought I would just write it there, and everyone could then find out about everything. And it's the only time in my life that I actually sat down, and I don't remember one moment of it. I remember crying. I don't know if I was there for 4 minutes or if I was there for 4 hours. But I left everything I was thinking, and I, you know, just let the words flow. And this really vulnerable and honest point of view from a mom kind of flew through it. And it's not the first time that words kind of have helped heal me. It's not the first time that words have kind of been my safety. My parents tell me that my entire life, no matter what, even as a little girl, I always would tell people that I wanted to be a writer or a ballerina. I mean, and even to this day, if you told me, what do you want to do with your life? I would tell you that to see my name on a book in a bookstore would just fulfill everything in me possible. And it's funny because our Different is Beautiful calendars that you saw in the video and our apparel line, all of that is sold in bookstores and shops. And you know, I walk into Chapters and I see our calendar there, and I couldn't be prouder. But the thought of having my book there with my name as the author, I mean, it just does it for me.